This is not an expedition. It's an execution. When they put you in here, they don't want you to return. And even if you do, and even if they keep their promises, what freedom waits for you? A few dying ships in a sea of dead stars. If there is still hope, it lies beyond the veil. Hope in this void is as illusionary as the starlight. I will choose to breathe my last here, at the bottom of an ocean. Unseen. Unheard. Uncontrolled. They will get their execution. I will get my freedom.
Alright, so this is going to be spoilers for Iron Lung. I saw it first and then Spatty saw it again. And I actually saw it with John, who of course isn't here right now, but he did say he did like it. So yeah, let's get into it. And yeah, spoilers, of course. So if you haven't seen the movie, then yeah, don't watch us first. And I do have. I'm gonna list off the all the cast and stuff. Of course, Mark Fishbach is the one that wrote, directed, and edited, and executive produced by Mark Fishbach. Of course, I think it was co-wrote with was it Zemetsky or something? Based on the game, which is like a PlayStation 1 kind of graphics. And you're in a sub, and it's based on Iron Lung by David Zemetsky. It was produced by Will Hyde and Jeff Guerrero. And creative producer Amy Nelson, line producer Adrian Testolon. And yeah, sorry if I'm butchering some of these names, but I want to like rattle off all of these because it is, I just feel like they should be notarized kind of thing. Director of photography Philip Roy, sound designer Brad Inkling or music by Andrew Holschult, production designer Aman Corbani, visual effects supervisor Wes Myers, concept artist, character modeler, 3D art texture artist Molly Brown, and makeup and stuff is Anna Fusate Downs, and costume designer Erica Slay. So yeah, I mean, I didn't have to list down all of the ones that were part of the movie production and shit, but I felt like that I just didn't want to mention Mark Fishbach because of course everybody that reviews it does that, so I kind of wanted to like let people know that yeah, he did have people behind him as well, helping with the movie. Right, yeah. The premise is like there's only handful of humans left. There's like this silent kind of rapture that has gone on. That there's like no stars, and basically the planets are gone, and there's only like four moons uh, that are basically blood moons, he and you and the Simon, the convict, is in what is called the Iron Lung, which is a submarine. Uh, that was the name of the sub there, and um, so yeah, this is basically going to be like us talking about if we liked it or not, kind of thing, which I did. And what do you, what do you think? Do you like it too?
Yeah, I did like it. Had a lot of good, like, psychological horror, and it was definitely, like, it definitely put you on your toes, the worse it got. And my sister was definitely feeling the, like, dread of the movie because we saw it together and everything, because she was wanting to really see it too, and all that. And I'll say this, like the first like 30 or 40 minutes of the movie was, obviously it was well known to be like a very slow start. It
Yeah,
was
and
starting to lose people at
I,
that point.
I felt that way too. That it was at the beginning, it was slow, but this is purpose on purpose though. It is slow throughout the whole movie, um, but it's one of those that it's a psychological horror where it's one of those that it's like what Simon's seeing is kind of going through your mind. Is did I really see what he is seeing in the scene? There's the part where Simon is looking at the back of the sub, and he swears that he's seeing something with in with him in the sub, and he goes to investigate and turns on the camera so that he can see in that corner, and then it shows nothing, but then it shows the computer there. Then he kind of after a while investigates the computer and tries to figure out how to get that working. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, because the first like 30, 40 minutes, it was like, I was like kind of getting worried, like, ooh, is this going to lose me or something? Because I mean, it's got an interesting start, but I was like kind of worried that this might actually not been as good. But then it's like as time went on, I'm like, okay, this really, um, it was going pretty well. Like the story was building, the anticipation of like horror, and and there was like a long time where in the movie that felt like you weren't really sure 100% if like Simon was hallucinating the whole time. You couldn't really, it was very difficult to tell like what was the reality of the movie, of the story, and what was all a hallucination where Simon's going crazy. And it was like really making you think, at least in my opinion, it was like really making you like try to dissect and analyze, the situation. And it was like, yeah, the whole pacing was pretty much slow, and I realized that. And but like it's all about the buildup of the psychological horror. It was like a mixture, in my opinion, of like a thriller with a horror movie put together, but it really added to the layers with like the psychological part of it.
definitely an eldritch, slow burn kind of movie, which isn't going to be for everyone. So, with that being said, even if you don't like that, I do think you should see it, or just buy a ticket and not go. That's just another thing you could just to support the the little man on the totem pole, because this is an independent film, and the the thing I really commend him for is he actually paid the $3 million out of his own pocket. Nobody was just throwing him this money. He actually funded this whole thing by his own money. He didn't have a big studio throwing it at him and shit. So it's all by him, his own money, and hey, I am glad that I didn't wait until it was on a streaming service or on Blu-ray, which I hope that it gets both of those, or at least one of those, because I would like to see it again. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to see it again a second time in theaters. I do think that it's the best way of seeing it, because there's like, for me, it felt like there was things all around you kind of thing with me, which it's kind of like that in the game as well, is where there's like this sloshy, grody, gross sound all the time in the game. Even when you're fully stopped, it still has this like churning of blood, because you're in a blood moon, but it's always got this eerie, gross sound to it, which I liked in the game and in the movie. And I, to be honest, I haven't played the game, but I back in the day I did watch Markiplier play it, and then before I went to see the movie, I actually rewatched him playing it again, and he was being his silly self and like, oh, Houston, we're going over here to this check mark, and of course he was actually going to the check marks like really quick, and it was only like 45 minutes that it took him. And then there was like the lore update where the developer added the computer to it, and you got more lore by putting in certain keywords in the computer. So, well, my big thing with the pictures is, why is it black and white? And in the movie it goes into that, where there's a scene where they pull him back up to attach something to the front, because they're wanting a sample of whatever this thing is, and so Simon went to hit the button, and it's just this it's almost like a nuclear bomb went off into the room that all these people are in, and then the captain just fucking rips him a new one, because you just fucking killed us all. You fucking irradiated us all. And then that is, for me, it dawned, and it basically was like on the screen, you see his realization, and then at that time I realized that holy shit, because the captain told him a regular fucking camera can't go see through all that fucking blood. It has to be a fucking X-ray, and so he's like, oh fuck, and then he's like fucking apologizing because he didn't know. If he would have told me more, I would have known. And so yeah, it's that was my big mystery of why in the game why it was black and white, and then you realize that oh fuck, those bones were not, they were just a skeleton, and it's actually a living fucking thing in this blood moon. So
Yeah, that's what was getting me is like, oh, I suspected that thing was alive as the movie was going on, and this was like before I rewatched Markiplier play Iron along the original game that, looks very similar to PS1 graphics and all that. And it was like, oh, yeah, no, that's not just a skeleton, that's a fucking beast in there. And yeah, as you get through the, towards the end of the movie, it's like very obvious that that thing's alive. It's literally trying to attack you, and it essentially killed the captain on the rescue mission part, and
yeah, that I was I was beginning to come around on the captain, because as soon as she was like, I'm fucking going down there to fucking get you, that's when I was like, yeah, I'm beginning to like her, and then of course that's when she bites it, because well, it's kind of like she went down there to kind of protect the black box, because she's like, we need that, so it was kind of like she's doing it to protect Simon, and then that kind of goes tits up, and doesn't work.
no.
That fucking beast pretty much knows their plan, because the beast is basically just, well, I think they can. It's like a telepathic thing where it knows exactly what you're trying to do, so it's gonna stop you, kind of thing. Is what I kind of thought, because Simon does hear like all these voices in his head at the end, so, and one of them is the entity that's like, ooh, come join us, kind of thing, and
Yeah.
it's trying to get Simon to join in the whatever this entity is, and it doesn't necessarily show him dying at the end. It does show the black box floated to the top, and it made it there, but one of the scenes that the first time I thought Simon was dead is when he rises up from the blood, and the entity is talking to him, and it's like, oh, he is still alive. And so my thoughts is that maybe the sub is destroyed, but maybe the entity swallowed him, and he's still alive in some capacity, and he's trying, this entity is, this isn't really in the movie, but it's kind of a theory that I have, where that the entity is keeping him alive, and this entity is going to try and continue to try and get Simon on this entity's sides, and then go and try and destroy the black box that had survived. So that's my theory of if there was to be another movie, that could be where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah, because when there was the apparent moment that the entity was communicating with Simon, that was like where I was trying to figure out if if this was just a hallucination or. But then I'm pretty confident that was the entity communicating with Simon. It was probably like a whole new like twist on the adaptation of the game and everything, which I thought was pretty cool. The whole movie itself was like just quite unsettling. It was like that entity is very creepy, and you see the X-rays, which you don't realize it until the end, and and I'm with Pinball on that, with everybody, um, the captain, everybody, like, I was hoping it's like, well, this would have never happened if you guys like told me it was a fucking X-ray camera. Nobody would have been irradiated because he just did that out of an emotional, you know, outburst because he's like feeling claustrophobic. It's terrifying being in that damn sub that you're essentially trapped in pretty much the whole entire time because there's no exit because they either have to like weld you out, they have to like cut you out with a welding tool thing, and they welded him inside, so it's just like, yeah, it's essentially as one would think, it's a death trap. Yeah.
Um, the other thing is that it showed that this entity was trying to keep him alive. I think because at some point in the movie, the oxygen was at 1, and which is like the next thing you think it's going to go out completely, which at some point there's this creepy vine stuff that comes in, and then if you don't look for it, the oxygen actually goes up 1, and so it's like, and then it's like, well, blood does have a lot of oxygen in it. And and so there was a ton of it because he was getting stuck to the fucking walls, and even at one point had his arm ripped off because he was trying to get away from this whatever this
Yeah.
shit was. So he was like fucking terrified of that, and so he did get free. But yeah, the instead of the thing oxygen going completely out, it actually went up 1 more, and it's something that you could miss, really, if you weren't looking at. But yeah, right away I was like, huh? I saw that, and I was like, why did it go up? And then it's like thinking after, it's like, oh, after the movie, it was like, oh, yeah, because blood has oxygen in it, so, and this this stuff was kind of forming vines and stuff, like it would be like a root of a tree kind of thing, and so that was like, oh, that's why it went up, because it's kind of like a tree-ish kind of thing going on. So yeah.
I thought that part was like really weird because like the whole vines and shit that was holding Simon up and everything that he was getting caught by, that was like trying to take him over. That just really reminded me of like a Stranger Things moment. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, because I was not anticipating like any like vines or anything. I thought that was like really weird, but then I was like wondering if it was a virus or something. And then I also, like he did, I noticed that the oxygen bar went up by 1. And I'm like, because at first I'm like, is he hallucinating again? Because it was like one of those things that you were questioning, but then it's like, as the movie went on, that bar was still 2. So I was like, no, that was done on purpose. That wasn't a hallucination at all.
The, there was one thing with that charm. I was like so confused with that charm, and then I got to thinking. Of course, after I was like mulling all this shit in my head, and then it was like, well, that's another Eden person before Simon got in there, and the person before him put that charm in there, and then I was like, well, that's a seed from Eden, the last tree that, and there was a seed that was starting to sprout and stuff, and so I was like, oh, whoa, so yeah, and that's why think if there's another kind of movie, a sequel to this, there that seed might have gotten out into the blood moon and it's planted itself and is sprouted. I don't. I mean, that's just a theory of that. I mean, there probably won't be a sequel to this, but yeah, never know. But yeah, it's just stuff that in my brain would work, I guess. But and maybe that one seed that sprouts into a tree. Maybe that'll clear up the blood moon. I mean, it's a wild theory, and then the tree will make more trees and stuff. But that's just a wild theory that.
It there was one thing that I was like, yeah, that seed thing was definitely confusing, but then it was starting to make sense after a bit. And the one thing that I was really confused about is like, okay, I kind of understand like in the story part of like, where all these blood oceans came from, it's all the dead humans and everything, but it's like, well, if that's the case, how is this blood like still remaining? I feel like this shouldn't be like still liquefied or whatever. But then it's just like, well, this is from a game. I can't apply like really real life logic to it. But it was like, I kind of hope that David Szymanski will like expand on the blood thing a bit more. But I do know that in the lore of sorts, it's because of the quiet rapture, and this is probably, what some people are on about is like this is, hell, and this is the fate of, going through like a portal of hell or something like that. And the quiet rapture definitely, the more I thought about it, definitely felt like a biblical thing.
Yeah. I kind of felt like that weird ass star thing. I think should have been towards the beginning because when Markiplier played Iron Lung, that was like I think that was like the second thing they went to,
Yeah.
and what that did is he didn't it he I think it confused him because he didn't have to back out of that area. It just teleported him out, like right outside of that, so he didn't have to go back out like you do for most of the stuff with the other check marks you do. I think instead of that was more of like at the end or that star thing. Um, he had like the entity fish thing, um, teleport him off to off to the corner of an uncharted part of the map slash moon thing. Um, which is fine. It's just that's something I think the star thing should have been like somewhere in the beginning of the movie, but that's just a small gripe. It did it did show up. It was just near the end.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just much later. Yeah, 'cause I was shocked of like after rewatching Markiplier play Iron Lung, and I apparently actually did watch him play it like when it came out because I saw that on YouTube on the list I had already watched it. I'm like, oh, I guess I did watch this. I just forgot about it, and it was good that I rewatched it after Iron Lung because that was like something I wanted to do after seeing the movie. And I was like, wow, this actually is a pretty short game. You can do it in under an hour, and probably the average time for people is like an hour. But yeah, that star thing that popped up, I thought that was like maybe an allegory for like some like angel or port something. It was like I don't know how to describe it entirely.
Well,
It
I think it was like for me, I think it was like the last star ever in existence because of course all the stars were gone, and that's
yeah
why I kind of call it a star because it kind of was like that. I mean, granted, if it was a star, then he would be dead because it would be really hot and shit.
yeah
So, but I think it is like one of the last stars that are down there in that hellscape.
yeah. It's what I'm probably thinking now. Is it was like probably a sign that that was like the last star. And then there was one intricate detail that I thought was very interesting is that Simon over time was looking like he's getting more and more irradiated.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of so because there was that one part where he had all these oils and stuff, and then it kind of was kind of going in between. He had them, but he didn't. So it was that kind of thing too, where because the people at the surface or in the ship or whatever was saying, "Oh yeah, it's fine. It's heavily shielded," and then you find out that they're kind of bullshitting him on like his freedom, basically. So
Yeah,
and lying that he was, oh yeah, you're the first one down there, and yeah, and so and then yeah, that's another thing is that it kind of shows him irradiated and then kind of not and kind of going between those two. So
yeah. I think it was like a mixture of him like possibly hallucinating, but he definitely had like radiation damage. Like
mm-hmm.
his skin was deteriorating, and after he was dealing with his bandages, was like, oh, he's got radiation poisoning really bad. That his skin's like you know melting off of him to an extent. And then at the end of towards about the end of the movie, like where you're coming up to the final climax of the finale, where you get to like see this like whole like what definitely remind me of like some kind of like rapture thing. Simon's getting the vision of like the fucking beast that he's up against, and then there's this like star looking portal thing, the white light. And the effects of that were pretty phenomenal. I was like, oh wow. And to find out that the budget of this movie was like 3 million, I'm like, wow, that's like better CGI than some of these like big bucks, entertainment like companies and everything. Because like I can think of a great example of like where Hollywood fails. I think it was like the first like Lord of the Rings Hobbit movie. CGI was like dog shit for like it's like come on, we have like better technology and everything, and that CGI was like looked like it came from like the 90s or something like that. It was like it looked really outdated, and that was a technically a big box. movie, and then you got like Markiplier, who's an indie movie filmmaker, executive producer. Like he pretty much did majority of this with a small team, and the effects were just phenomenal. Like all the CGI, I was extremely impressed. I was like, wow, this blows. Like this is just it slaps pretty much.
All right, so I think I'll wrap this up, but I think it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me because I I'm not. I mean, it's I don't feel it's a 10 out of 10, but I think 8 is a good. It's a solid movie, and it's it's got its flaws. Like it is slow, but I do like that. Yeah, but not everyone is going to like a slow movie like this. But yeah, mine's an 8 out of 10. So what do you think?
I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10. A lot of effort was put into it. Like you could tell there was a lot of passion into this project, and Markiplier's been saying it for several years that this is his passion project.
Yeah, it was like 3 years in the making.
Yeah, like three and a half years in the making, and his acting was pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I appreciated it.
Yes. All right. So hope you enjoyed this more in depth and spoiler review of Iron Lung. To give it a thumbs up or not, and subscribe if you like. And yeah.
You better give it a thumbs up.
And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.